Hey there, ACH 100. We're back for the second part of this assignment. Um, we are going to do 3 variations of a massing model on this site based on the parameters that were given to us by the zoning ordinance. And before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to geolocate this property so that we can look at how the sun and the shadows affect the site, because that may tell us something about how we want to design this house. So if you go over here and go to shadows, you can add a location. So if we type in 720 Florida Street, Lexington, KY, and search. Okay, select a region. It does not need to be a big region because it just takes up space, makes the file larger. We will put our spot in the middle there. Say about something like that. And then we will import. Okay, so this is geolocated and oriented to the sun. So what we need to do is we're going to scoop up our entire model, right click, and make it a group for a moment so that everything moves together. And we are going to rotate it. For starters, let's say about like that. And I'm going to move it over so that you can see where we're taking it to. This is our site right here. So let's grab that by the middle and go about right here. And then we can right click and explode the group. And now that's geolocated, but you'll notice your axis is off. So we need to reorient our axis so that it's easy to build the model on here. So what we'll do is we'll come over here and we'll go to axes, and we'll click on something that we've already built, the base point, and we know that blue is up and red is in one direction and green is in the other. We want to keep blue up. Come on now. Nope. Let's go over here and click over here. Okay, now we have it reoriented, blue up. And now everything we draw will be on that axis again. So we can do this and see it's drawing it on the same axis. Okay, so the reason this is important, let's turn this on. Shadows. And you can select the time of day and watch the shadows move, and this is how they would move on that site. You can also select the month. Sun's more overhead in the summer and swings further south in the winter. And there's a different quality of sun shadows. Now let's also see what happens when we put some trees on the back of the lot. You can go up here. I'm going to save before I lose something. And I'm going to close this up. We're going to go to the 3D warehouse. And we want 2D trees. 2D trees don't take up as much memory. And let's look for a big, tall, full tree like what we have on the property. Maybe something like this. And we'll download it. And we'll put it back here. Now, our trees on our site are about 40 feet tall. Let's see how big this one is. Tape measure. Oh, it's about 10 feet, so it needs to be 4 times as big. So we'll go over here to scale, and we can do this and then type in 4. And let's measure it. Yeah, about 40 feet, that's correct. Looks about right. So this goes on, we have a bunch of these along the back of these property lines, so we can just move and copy, move and copy. Just do that because we have this situation here. We have a lot of very tall trees back there. So they do not look like they are going to affect our sun at all because of the orientation. Let's zoom up here a little bit. And let's look at the time. Oh, they aren't casting shadows. That might be why. Why are you not casting a shadow, buddy? Entity info. Cast shadows. And receive shadows. Let's see. Let's close this back up. Let's go back to our, let's see. Do we see any shadows being cast by those trees? We do not. They're actually receiving sun and shadow, but they are not casting any. That is odd. Okay. Well, so much for that. I'm just going to delete those. They're not doing what I had hoped they would do. And it looks like our sun is coming mostly from this direction anyway. So if we go back to the time, it rises in the east, which looks to be over here, and sets in the west, which is over here. So it doesn't have to come through that tree line at all anyway. Okay, so at least you know how to bring trees in now. Okay, so for our massing model, we're going to go back to our info sheet. I added a couple of things and changed a couple of things since the last video to help us out some more. We determined that the footprint could only be 850 square feet because we're only allowed to cover 25% of the lot. So let's go and see what that might look like if we went as wide as our buildable area, which is 24 feet. So let's open our calculator. We say 850 divided by 24 equals 35.4. So if we take our tape measure and go back 35.4 feet, there we go. This is the largest footprint that we can have if we go from side to side. So let's go up 12 inches so that we have just a little platform there. Right click and make it a group. So you're allowed, according to this, to build a total of 2,550 square feet on the property, but you can only have a footprint of 850. So this shows 850, but we can go up to 2,550. 550. So let's bring our calculator back out again. And let's say 2,550 divided by 850, and that's 3. So we could have a 3-story house or a 2-story house and a basement. So let's go back to here. Get our rectangle. Let's do 8-foot ceiling. Triple click, right click, and make it a group. And then we'll say we've got another 1 foot of floor structure. So we'll go down here and grab this and add another one up there. And then our second floor, put it up there. So this is already getting ridiculous for this property, for this street. The scale's getting tall, almost as big as this guy, and we don't have a roof yet. But according to the zoning, you're allowed to do this one more time. So this is a possible building for this street. And we did have a height max of 40 feet. We're nowhere near that. It could be a flat roofed building. You could put the overhang on it like we did in our SketchUp section. So let's do that for a second. And that was 12 inches, and then we'll come out, let's say 2 feet. 2 feet. 2 feet. 2 feet. Triple click, right click, make it a group. And then you could pick everything. Make it a group. And this would be considered one of your massing models. So this is an option if you go from side to side. And then as back as far as it takes to get 850 square feet, and then as tall as it takes to get 2,550 square feet. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to move it over here and get it out of the way. Let me turn the shadows off, because it doesn't seem like that's going to affect us. Delete the guides. Save this. No. Okay, so if we wanted to do something that was more in scale with this building, let's say, let's not go all the way across the site. Let's start from the middle and do a house that's only 18 feet. So we'll go 9 feet in this direction and 9 feet in this direction. So that's 18. And if we pull out our calculator again, we can say 850 divided by 18 is 47.2. So if we go back to here, we can head in that direction, 47.2 feet. And we could have something, a footprint that's more like this. Bring it up off of grade. Triple click, right click, make it a group. Make another one. Maybe you want to have 9-foot ceilings. Triple click, right click, and make it a group. Maybe you just want this to be a sweet little house. We'll come up, let's say 6 inches. And then maybe it has a slope that is in one direction, and you want to put solar panels on it so that the person that lives here doesn't have high energy bills. Let's use our tape measure tool, and we'll come up from here. Well, start from the side, come in here and say 12, because our slopes are always something over 12. And let's say, let's do a minimum, let's say a 5 and 12 slope. connect the dots. And then you could come up here. We have this line chosen. You could use your move tool and pop it up to there. Triple click, right click, and make it a group. So this could end up being a 1.5 story property. You don't have to max out the square footage. They're just telling you the max. Perhaps this is a more appropriate scale for this site. So that could be a possible second one. Let's move this out of the way. Zoom out. We'll just keep moving them over. So whatever footprint you have and wherever you decide to put it, it can only equal 850 square feet. But you can make it 1, 2, or 3 stories tall. Let's do something really narrow and funky. Let's say, let's see what it would be. Let's bring our calculator out again. And say 850 divided by 12 feet. So that could be 70.8 feet long. So if we come over here, 12 feet and 70.8 feet. Ooh, see, we can't have it that long because that goes into our rear yard. So let's say that one was only 14 feet. So let's try 20 feet. Let's call out our calculator again. 850 divided by 20 equals 42.5. So we can say 42.5 feet and do our little rectangle. Triple click, right click, and let's bring it up a foot first. 12 inches. And then triple click, right click, and make it a group. Now you don't have to put it at the front property line. It'd be nice if you gave it a front porch, so that might set it back another 8 feet. Maybe you want to set it as far back as you can. But let's not forget, if we do this, we have no place to park. We need 18 to 20 feet for this to have a driveway. Let's see here if we've got enough room here. We need 10 feet for a driveway. Nope, we don't have quite enough. So we need to stay probably 20 feet from the rear property line so that we have a place to park. All these things that you can think about when you're designing your house. So let's say we want to put it in the middle between the front setback and the rear setback. We'll find that middle line there, pop, okay. And then you have room to park in the rear. And you could park over here and have a porch on this side or vice versa. You can have you could have a front porch and have plenty of landscaping to kind of separate you from the street and the neighbors. And again, that could be 1 story, 1.5, 2, or 3 tall with a gable, a shed, or a flat roof. So that was the assignment for this one, was you needed to create 3 variations that meet but do not exceed the requirements of the zoning ordinance. So your footprint can be no larger than 850 square feet, and your total square footage cannot be any larger than 2,550 square feet. So you need to create those 3 models in one file or 3 files, and put them on the sites. So you can always copy this. So let's put this one back on here for a second. And pop it on the front. Let's delete these guides. You can, if you want to put everything in one file, you can copy everything, hit Control, move it over here, and put your other models on it. So you could have all three in one file, and they're geolocated for the sun. Okay, so that's how you can do it in one file instead of three. If anybody has any questions, you need to let me know. But you need to get to this point before you start doing a floor plan. I need to see 3 versions of this so that I know that you understand how to use the zoning ordinance and the site restrictions.